Iraq has embarked on a significant modernization effort within its armored forces, taking a decisive step that reflects not only the evolution of modern battlefields but also the sobering realities of the new drone-dominated era. At the center of this development lies the country's fleet of Russian-supplied T-90s IQ main battle tanks, which have now been reinforced with improvised, unit-built armor upgrades designed to withstand the most pressing threats of contemporary warfare. The new features, including cage armor welded onto vulnerable upper sections of the turret and specialized side packs affixed along the hull, represent Iraq's practical and urgent response to the proliferation of unmanned aerial vehicles and loitering munitions that have proven devastating to tanks in conflicts ranging from Ukraine to Syria. In adopting these modifications, Iraqi military engineers and armored units have acknowledged a reality that many global militaries are still coming to terms with. The era of relying solely on traditional armor against ground-based threats has ended, and the age of drone-resistant tanks has begun. The decision to reinforce the T-90s IQ fleet with drone-era armor was born out of necessity rather than luxury. Iraq, which has invested heavily in modernizing its armed forces following years of conflict against insurgent groups and the Islamic State, recognizes that tanks remain an essential part of its military doctrine. The T-90s, one of Russia's most exported main battle tanks, was chosen several years ago to replace aging Soviet-era T-72s and bolster the firepower of Iraqi armored divisions. Equipped with a 125mm smoothbore gun, advanced fire control systems, and reactive armor, the T-90s IQ variant was marketed as a formidable platform capable of meeting 21st-century threats. Yet, as wars across the Middle East and Eastern Europe have shown, no amount of conventional armor is sufficient against the proliferation of cheap, small, and deadly drones that can outmaneuver traditional defenses and strike from above. In the past decade, drone warfare has rapidly shifted from a niche capability to a central feature of modern conflicts. During the 2020 Nagorno-Karabakh war between Armenia and Azerbaijan, Turkish-made Bayraktar TB2 drones demonstrated the ability to annihilate armored columns with precision strikes. In Ukraine, both sides have unleashed swarms of first-person view, FPV drones and loitering munitions that have destroyed thousands of tanks and armored vehicles, despite decades of technological investment in armor protection. For Iraq, which sits in a volatile region with multiple security threats, these lessons were impossible to ignore. By adopting drone-era upgrades such as cage armor and improvised side packs, Iraq's armored forces are signaling that they understand tanks must evolve or risk obsolescence. The cage armor now visible on Iraqi T-90s tanks resembles a lattice of welded steel bars fitted above the turret and engine compartments, designed to disrupt the flight path of incoming drones or detonate their warheads prematurely before they strike the tank's most vulnerable surfaces. Though crude in appearance, such measures have repeatedly proven effective in reducing the lethality of top-attack munitions, particularly FPV drones armed with high explosive charges. Similarly, the side packs affixed to the hull and turret flanks add an additional layer of protection against shape-charge warheads, helping to disperse or absorb the impact of explosives before they can penetrate the tank's primary armor. These modifications are not factory-standard additions supplied by Russia, but rather unit-level innovations fabricated in workshops and field depots by Iraqi forces themselves. This underscores both the urgency of adapting to new threats and Iraq's increasing capacity for localized military engineering solutions. What makes Iraq's approach particularly notable is the degree to which it reflects a broader global shift. While Russia and Ukraine have led the way in fielding cages, slat armor, and electronic countermeasures against drones, the sight of such protective add-ons is now spreading to armored forces worldwide. From Poland to India, militaries are experimenting with similar solutions, aware that drones costing only a few $100s can neutralize multi-million-dollar tanks. Iraq's decision to implement such modifications represents a recognition that waiting for formal upgrades from manufacturers or foreign suppliers is no longer an option. Adaptation must happen immediately, even if the solutions appear improvised or unsophisticated. The T-90s IQ was originally acquired by Iraq in 2016 as part of an effort to strengthen its military in the aftermath of the fight against ISIS. At that time, Iraqi armored forces relied heavily on older T-72s and American-supplied M1 Abrams tanks, the latter of which faced serious maintenance and logistical challenges. The T-90s IQ was chosen partly because of its cost-effectiveness and partly because of Iraq's long-standing ties with Russian military hardware, which provided a logistical foundation for training, maintenance, and integration. The arrival of these tanks was celebrated as a step forward in rebuilding Iraq's conventional military power. Yet, as global warfare has shown, even the most advanced tanks are not immune to drones, and in some ways, their prominence on the battlefield makes them more vulnerable targets. By choosing to reinforce its T-90s tanks with drone-era armor, Iraq is acknowledging that modernization is not just about acquiring new systems, but about continuously adapting them to survive in an ever-changing battlefield environment.